Section 1. The silent hand of bias. Artificial intelligence, often hailed as the engine of the future, carries a dark secret: the potential to perpetuate and even amplify existing social injustices. Like a puppeteer pulling invisible strings, biased algorithms, trained on flawed data, are silently shaping decisions that impact millions of lives. From determining who gets hired for a job to predicting who might commit a crime, AI's reach is vast and often invisible, making its impact even more insidious. This is not a futuristic dystopian tale, it's the reality we are facing today. The question is, will we allow AI to continue operating in the shadows, perpetuating inequalities, or will we demand transparency, accountability, and fairness?
Section 2. Trapped in a cycle of suspicion. Consider the case of predictive policing, where algorithms analyze crime data to predict future hotspots and identify potential offenders. While proponents argue that this technology helps optimize resource allocation and prevent crime, the reality is far more troubling. These systems are often trained on historical data that reflects systemic biases in policing, such as over-policing of minority communities. As a result, these communities are disproportionately targeted for surveillance and suspicion, even in the absence of any criminal activity. This creates a vicious cycle, where increased scrutiny leads to more arrests, which in turn feeds the algorithm, reinforcing the perception of these communities as high risk.
Section 3. The algorithm knows best? Not really. The use of AI in hiring practices presents another stark example of how algorithmic bias can perpetuate inequality. Many companies now rely on AI-powered tools to screen resumes, conduct initial interviews, and even predict candidate success. While these tools are often marketed as objective and data-driven, they can inadvertently discriminate against qualified candidates based on factors like gender, race, or socioeconomic background. For instance, an algorithm trained on historical hiring data might learn to penalize resumes that mention traditionally female-dominated fields or historically black colleges, perpetuating existing gender and racial disparities in the workplace.
Section 4. Unmasking the bias, a call for transparency. The first step towards mitigating algorithmic bias is acknowledging its existence. We must move away from the dangerous misconception that AI is inherently objective and embrace the reality that these systems are only as good as the data they are trained on and the intentions of their creators. Transparency is crucial in this process. Companies and institutions developing and deploying AI systems must be open about the data used to train their algorithms, the decision-making logic employed, and the potential biases embedded within these systems. This transparency will allow for independent audits and scrutiny, enabling researchers and advocates to identify and address biases before they cause real-world harm.
Section 5. Towards equitable algorithms, a roadmap for change. Developing ethical and equitable AI requires a fundamental shift in our approach, moving beyond a narrow focus on technical efficiency to prioritize fairness, accountability, and human well-being. This requires establishing clear regulatory frameworks that govern the development and deployment of AI systems, particularly in high-stakes domains like criminal justice, healthcare, and education. These regulations should mandate transparency, accountability, and regular audits to ensure that AI systems are not perpetuating existing inequalities. Furthermore, they should establish clear guidelines for addressing instances of algorithmic bias and provide avenues for redress for individuals who have been unfairly impacted by these systems.
Section 6. Holding up the mirror AI for a just future. The rise of AI presents both a profound challenge and an unprecedented opportunity. On the one hand, it forces us to confront the uncomfortable realities of our own societal biases, reflected back at us through the algorithms we create. On the other hand, it offers a unique opportunity to build a more just and equitable future, where technology is harnessed to empower all members of society, regardless of their background or circumstances. The path we choose will depend on the choices we make today. The future of AI is not predetermined. It is being written now, through the collective actions of researchers, developers, policymakers, and citizens. By demanding transparency, accountability, and fairness, we can steer AI development in a direction that benefits all of humanity. We can choose to use AI not to reinforce existing power structures, but to dismantle them, creating a world where opportunity is not dictated by algorithms, but by human potential. The time to act is now, for the future we create will be a reflection of the choices we make today.